Hey, Bruce Naylor, your boomer consumer. I thought I'd make a video, not an audiophile review of the RT-85, but what is it like once you actually buy one of these? What's it like to own it? What are some of the things to look out for and be aware of? And that's the approach I'm taking in this video. As a disclaimer, I bought this with my own money. No one has reviewed this video prior to posting. All opinions are my own, and I will try to avoid as much audiophile jargon as possible. Let's assume that you've settled on one of these. Now I'm going to explain why I bought mine, because I started off with a budget of around $500 as top dollar I was going to go into a turntable. And I sure did a lot of research. I spent several months looking at record players, brands such as U-Turn and Riga and Music Fidelity and Denon and Audio Technica, and on and on and on. And originally I wanted a direct drive, fully automatic turntable of good quality. Well, lo and behold, I'm really not going to find that in that sub $500 price range. Now, Dual has some that are much better quality, but the only one that even came close was the Denon 300 or Denon DP300F. And it turns out it has speed issues, and I wanted to upgrade the cartridge to at least an Ortofon 2M Red. And the auto mechanism doesn't seem to work that well with it, not enough clearance, so I just didn't want to get involved with all that. So I changed my size. Okay, what are some of the more popular turntables? And the RT-85, actually the Fluance line of turntables, are extremely popular, and that's because you get a lot of features for the money. And the top dog in their product line is the RT-85, and lo and behold, it was $4.99, $1 under my top price tag that I was going to go. But I had to sacrifice the direct drive and go with a belt drive, and also this is more or less a manual turntable. I call it semi-automatic because essentially it does have an auto stop feature you can enable, but it's not great. Okay, we'll talk about that just in a minute. I'm just getting back into spinning vinyl, and I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a turntable and cartridge and all that. I'm still more or less a CD guy, but I do enjoy collecting vinyl now. So I ruled out a bunch of other turntables, but I thought it's the perceived value of the RT-85 that really matters. Let's talk about that by perceived value. All right, so you get the belt drive, but it is an isolated motor, very accurate on the speed. I actually took a test with the a little app called RPM, 33.36, I believe, so very, very accurate. This nice 3-pound acrylic platter. And of course, with that kind of mass, the momentum stays going. So there's some good reasons to use an acrylic platter. You don't need a platter mat like rubber or cork. It just works great. And it looks very cool. Some people do cool lighting effects with them. You get that. You get a nice S-shaped tone arm with stainless steel bearings. Very nice on there. So you get that. It comes with a Q lever. Believe it or not, the U-Turn Orbit doesn't have a Q lever. That's an option. Doesn't make any sense to me. You get a solid MDF plinth. Beautiful finishes on these. I chose the walnut, although I think the black would look really, really nice. It's kind of a fingerprint magnet. No big deal. You also get this really nice Ortofon 2M blue cartridge, which by itself sells for like $240. So when you add everything together, how on earth they sell for $4.99 and make a profit when the cartridge alone is worth almost half the price is amazing to me. And I forget how much the acrylic platter is as an option, but it's over $100. I think it's like $175, $150 just for that from Fluance. You're getting a whole lot of features for the money. By the word perceived is at $4.99, even with these things, is it worth the price? We're going to talk about that. Couple things I want to make clear right off the bat. No, this isn't wireless. No, it doesn't support Bluetooth. No, you can't hook it up directly to your powered speakers. You see those questions all the time on forums. This is more of an old school turntable. You have to have a phono preamp. You have to have what's called a phono stage, phono preamp. And I have an NAD 316, the NAD 316B B2 integrated amplifier with a great phono stage, a vintage Pioneer SX D7000, and my new Yamaha AS501 amplifier. They all have built-in phono stages. You got to have one of those in order to use this thing. One thing to be aware of, when you do set this up, the hinges are very, very tight on the cover. I thought I was going to crack it it took that much force to put them on there. And I'm not the only one to bring that up. That is something you just need to be aware of. The next thing is when you are balancing the tone arm, it took a couple attempts for me to get it just right. Because you will get some strange sounding results, some inner groove distortion, that kind of thing, if you don't get it balanced just right and get the tracking force set right. But before you do any of that, level the turntable. And Fluance gives you a nice little bubble level here. So make sure you have that. And another tool I recommend is to get you one of these digital scales. This is one I picked up off Amazon for, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks. Mutsu, something like that's name. I'll put a link in the description down below. Set your tracking force. Oh, make sure you set your anti-skate to 0. Then balance the tone arm and then adjust the counterweight. I set mine to 1.8 grams and the tracking force or the anti-skate I set to about 2. They also give you a little 45 RPM adapter here, but they don't have an indent anywhere where this could rest. You got to just kind of find a place to set it and leave it be, which I think they should work on. Another issue that I had is this power knob right here. This came off into my finger. Now, I can still use it, but the super glue or the glue, the adhesive holding this onto the actual physical knob had come loose. That kind of concerned me a little bit. Also felt that the tone arm lock is a bit on the chintzy side, and I wonder how long that's going to last before it breaks off. It's just very small, chintzy piece of plastic. I also felt that the readings on the anti-skate control and the counterweight were very hard to read. So make sure you have a flashlight or a bright source of light when you're adjusting this thing out. Now let's talk about one of the big selling points of this record player, which is the Ortofon 2M Blue cartridge. I've tried it with 3 different amplifiers. I got to tell you, initially it sounded almost shrill, not a lot of bass. I rebalanced the tone arm several times. I was off maybe a little bit, but it didn't make much of an improvement. And I know that I've got it dead on, so that wasn't the issue. But as I continued to use it, it got a little better and a little better. Maybe there's kind of a break-in period, but I checked a lot of forums and other people are saying the same thing about the Ortofon 2M Blue, that beautiful detail, really great in the mid-range, really great in the treble, but bass is a bit thin. Now, Fluance has come out with the RT-85N, and that has the Nagaoka cartridge on there. And what I'm hearing is that it's got a little bit more bass, a little deeper bass on there. But a few adjustments to the tone control of my integrated amplifier, and everything is just fine, getting the bass that I like. I like that deep bass. So to wrap things up, I'm generally overall satisfied with the RT-85. I'm mostly satisfied with the Ortofon 2M Blue. Still think it's a bit thin in the bass, but again, I can adjust the bass control on my amp for that. The 3 feet on there is nice for leveling the turntable. It's a beautiful looking turntable and you get a heck of a lot for the money. It does. I'm not saying it doesn't sound great. It does. I just wish the bass was a little bit deeper. And the cartridge is definitely the voice of the record player. Yeah, there's some improvements could be made on there. Give us a spot to put this thing so we don't lose it. All in all, seems to be fairly well made. But of course, the power switch coming off my hand did not make me feel great about having that. I may be the only one. It may be an isolated incident. You get a lot for the money. For under $500, this is probably one of the best deals on the market for a record player if you're looking to get into vinyl or upgrade an older turntable, etc. It's not my dream turntable. It's not fully automatic quartz lock direct drive turntable. But then again, you either go vintage and takes your chances, or you got to spend a whole lot of money. And that's it. Love that acrylic platter though. That looks really cool. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.